Welcome, everyone. I head up the Buffalo Niagara Enterprise. We are the marketing, research, and business development organization for the 8 counties in Western New York and Southern Ontario. And for those of you visiting our lovely region for the first time, the weather is like this year-round. We do have a couple of snowy days out of the 365 that tends to get some, media attention. But other than that, it's pretty much like this, so it's pretty cool. Bill Cosby once said, in order to succeed, your desire to be successful has to exceed your fear of failure. And I think the next folks we're going to be introduced to and hear their stories are a testament to that. Just the ground rules briefly, 10 minutes to present. I'm going to be right down there, so for the presenters, when I get up, that's your cue to wrap it up. These companies will be available to speak with you outside and the presentations, about their presentations and at their exhibit areas, and you can certainly leave your card with them, and certainly they'll be there at the breaks. So without any further ado, let's get to our companies. The first one, guys, if you're ready, is Mark Sperry, and he's CEO of H2 Pump. Mark. Oh, good, okay.
Okay, I promise I'm not going to sing. I can't outdo Jeff there. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share the H2 Pump story with you this afternoon. And being an upstater, I can also attest to the fact that this is very, very typical of the weather. So what is H2 Pump all about? This is, in fact, the opportunity that we are chasing. At the end of the day, there are a large number of industrial processes today that utilize hydrogen gas as part of their manufacturing activity, and when they're done with it, they burn it. They just stick it into the atmosphere. So that is a very graphic representation of the opportunity that we're chasing. Our solution is to capture that exhaust gas, that hydrogen-rich exhaust gas, intercept it, put it through our hydrogen recycling device, and give that back to the operation to be reused. So basically, we provide hydrogen recycling services to industrial customers, targeting the United States and Europe principally. There are a large number of these industrial processes out there, and I'll share those with you in a moment. But at the end of the day, we can capture this hydrogen-rich gas, get rid of the impurities, and give it back to the operation for far less money than it costs you to buy new hydrogen. That's the fundamental value proposition. This is a furnace operation. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see some rolls of steel on the floor here to the right of the picture. Behind our box is where one of those rolls is mounted. It gets unrolled and passes through that big furnace area, which is full of hydrogen gas, and gets re-rolled at the back end for a variety of different reasons, to make it brighter, to make it harder, to make it thinner. And where you see that hood just behind our device, we basically take the exhaust hydrogen gas, pass it through our device, and we put it back in the front end of that furnace. Again, you might not be aware, but there's a large amount of hydrogen that's used in industry today. In fact, it's over 500 billion standard cubic feet a year, and that's just the merchant side. So the people that, the very, very large producers use it in their own processes. This is hydrogen that is produced in bulk, put in a truck, compressed, moved across the road, and delivered to a customer somewhere. So that's the merchant business. When you include the captive activity where the hydrogen is actually consumed on site, it's much larger. So what types of processes use that? That metal treating activity that I just showed you before, where you're treating specialty steels for a variety of different reasons. The manufacturing of glass utilizes hydrogen in their manufacturing processes. Semiconductor fabrication, very large user of hydrogen in their operation. LED fabrication, to name a few of the types of processes that are out there that use hydrogen but don't consume the hydrogen. Our focus is on this metal treating market for a number of reasons. We know that there's about 250,000 of what they call atmospheric furnaces out there, where the furnace actually has an atmosphere that's other than air embedded in it. We estimate that 20 to 25% of those furnaces would be eligible for recycling, and that's principally our rule of thumb saying that if you have about 20% or more hydrogen in the exhaust stream, it's a candidate for recycling. Most of the targets that we're going after actually have somewhere, approaching 100% hydrogen atmosphere. The more hydrogen in the exhaust, obviously, the greater the value proposition that we're going to be able to present to the customer. Our competition really is delivered hydrogen. So if you look at the hydrogen market today, the merchants deliver. It ranges pretty dramatically in price. From at the very, very low end, $4, that would be a very, very high volume liquid infrastructure customer that uses significant amounts of hydrogen. $20 would be somebody that's more of a mid-volume kind of user of hydrogen that gets it delivered probably in gaseous form in big tube trailers. You might see these trucks running across the road. Somebody like a locally Praxis Air or Air Gas, Air Products kinds of people. And it depends on how far you are from the actual manufacturing site of the hydrogen. So the reality is the cost of hydrogen is mostly driven by the distribution. It's not actually in the cost of the hydrogen itself. So what's the shtick? Why does the customer care? How would you like to save $250,000 over the next 4 to 5 years without having to spend any money? And by the way, I'll cut your carbon footprint in half. We are an annuity model. We're selling a service. We're not selling a box. So we're going to enter into hydrogen recycling agreements with our customers. Today they have hydrogen delivery agreements with their merchant providers. But on the customer side, we charge them a fixed fee for every kilogram of hydrogen that gets recycled and delivered back into their operation. They have to pay for the electricity. Our device uses electricity. And at the end of the day, when you add those two things together, you're going to get at least a 20% savings versus what you're doing today in terms of buying merchant hydrogen. They don't have to pay for anything up front. I'm going to install the box. I'm going to operate the box. I'm going to maintain the box. I'm simply going to send you a bill every month for the amount of hydrogen that I recycled for you. We have lots of technology on board that allows us to do a lot of remote monitoring, billing types of capability. But at the end of the day, we are an annuity model business. I think I'll just talk to where we are currently. At the end, the science and engineering has been proven. We have the appropriate patents filed to protect the technology sets that drive a lot of what's behind the skins there. We have been out with probably on the order of 50 different customers validating the value proposition that in fact the economics do work and have very elaborate customer value propositions modeled, built that we can sit down and very quickly determine whether it makes sense or not for that particular location. We are lean and mean. We're 13 people, actually 14 on Monday, having just hired a director of sales and marketing. We have had multiple small scale, 10th prototype scale sort of alpha units installed over the past 4 to 5 years. Earlier this year we installed our first beta 100 kilogram system, so that's the system that we're going to go, the size of the system we're going to market with. That's been installed and operating since February, doing quite well. Our second system is funded by a New York State program. Will be installed next week at a facility in the southern tier here in New York. Our next generation design, we will be doing trials of that generation, what we call our Beta 2 design, beginning in October and November of this year, and we're on track with that. So we're at the point where over the next 18 months, it's about cost down, reliability up, taking cost out of the product, finalizing the commercial designs, basically driving cost out. The reliability profile is where we want it. We have some advanced over-the-radar technology initiatives that will probably intercept 3 or 4 years down the road, but our real focus is on hardening the commercial design and getting that into the market. Our plan is to begin shipments about a year from today. From an operational perspective, we need to continue to operate these Beta 1, 2 systems out in the field to gain the feedback, to begin to put the surface tools in place. to be able to service the box. Enable a contract manufacturer. We're probably a couple weeks away from selecting the partner that will be doing most of the contract manufacturing on our behalf. Happy to say that will be a New York State entity. And we need to begin very, very aggressive market engagement at this point. So as I mentioned, we now have a director of sales and marketing, put the channel in place, partnerships as appropriate. The various marketing campaigns begin really to do the prospecting to build the funnel. And current expectation is we will begin order taking in the third, fourth quarter of this year for deliveries the early part of next year. From a business plan perspective, as I mentioned, it is an annuity-driven model. It is hydrogen recycling agreements. I think our goals are very realistic, starting with 25 systems in the field next year and doubling every year for the next 4 years. You can see where the revenue winds up in the year of 2016, but the important thing to note is how much revenue is under contract that if we never put another system in the field, we would be able to collect. Profitability in 2015, and our modeling now suggests we need $3 to $4 million to get us through to profitability. And this just to give you a little bit of flavor of, we have secured $8 million in funding to date. We just closed a round of $2 million earlier this year, and we'll likely be out towards the end of this year looking for the rest of the money to get us through to commercialization. I think my time's up.
We don't have a hook or a gong, but I did play linebacker in college, so I take you on. Yeah, all right, good. It's go time. All right. Next up is Mikhail Segal, I hope I pronounced that right, President and CTO of Thermal Solutions. Mikhail.
I'm burning up waiting to give this presentation and talk to you about LED lighting. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present to the Smart Start Forum. I'm Mikhail Segal, and Thermal Solution Resources, we're in LED lighting, we manage the heat, but we have technology that will maximize our intellectual property. We have technology that will pioneer LED lamp design, manufacturing, and transform current LED lighting standards and wireless applications by bringing Wi-Fi control to save energy and money to our customers. We were formed in 2009 as an engineering consulting company focused on LED lighting and product design development. We have existing customers and revenue. We've been self-funded through engineering services. And with our background, we've been able to identify and develop IP in integrating LED manufacturing and thermally conductive SSL plastics, as well as the integration of the wireless control into the LED lamp. And with that, we're developing our own products and we're ready to commercialize them for our custom and take custom orders. Myself, my background, founder of TSR, 12 years in thermal management engineering, thermally conductive plastics, replacing metals with plastics to dissipate heat. Inventor, and extensive relationships and industry expert in LED lighting, as well as materials that have developed global relationships on materials and the development of IP and wireless LED lighting. Gary Arnold is our Director of Sales and Marketing. He has 35 years in engineering sales, working for large and small global companies as well as his own, extensive background in software and automation as well as LED lighting. The key to our products is our technology. On the left, you can see traditional LED lighting manufacturing has extensive steps, very complicated, and is very costly. On the right, we have a very integrated design that can save LED manufacturing and costs by 50%. We consider it a plug-and-play technology. It enables automated manufacturing which can create jobs in the United States and allows us to significantly save money and integrate the wireless controls into the LED lighting products. 25% of electric power is consumed from LED lighting. Global energy conservation as well as government initiatives are banning incandescent light bulbs and starting with the 100-watt light bulb as well as the 75-watt light bulb. LED lighting can save 85% of your lighting electricity costs, which is quite significant. And moving forward, wireless lighting will save even more money because utilities can utilize it to monitor real-time energy consumption, and consumers, commercial applications and utilities can use it to control their lighting and reduce demand when it's not needed. So in lighting in general, there's big lamps and there's little lamps. 70% of the lighting in Europe is small lamps, and in the US we like big things, it's big lamps. We have the IP that enables wireless lighting control in small form factor lighting, which is critical for European utilities who are leading the way in wireless LED lighting implementation. And we have our first customers in Europe and the USA featuring small lighting designs. What is wireless lighting and why would you use it? Well, it's a light bulb that has an IP address and can be connected to the internet. It still needs a wire and electricity to operate, which is so it's not completely wireless, but it is energy efficient, Wi-Fi enabled, and based on industry standards. You can control your light with your smartphone and device. You can monitor and control electricity consumption, which is huge for commercial applications and utilities. And commercial customers want integrated smart control for safety, energy savings, and building management. A key thing we hear all the time for commercial applications, customers want to know exactly when a lamp is burned out. These have two-way communication. So in a dark alleyway or public location, a light goes out, somebody can fall, it's a liability. These things the lamps can communicate back and tell you exactly when something's not functioning or working, and you can have a team out there replacing the light, which saves replacement costs and really integrates the controls into the lighting. The LED replacement lamp forecast, or the replacement lighting forecast in general, is 12 to 14 billion, and it's projected to stay steady over the next 8 years. LED lighting will slowly encroach on this, and rapidly in 2020 will be over 50% of the replacement lighting market at about $6 billion. We're focused on a very significant but niche subsegment, and looking at just the European wireless lighting opportunity, it's going to be a $130 million market by 2016, where our technology dominates in this small form factor lighting. Just looking at Europe specifically, that would be a $90 million market potential. We're being conservative and saying that we forecast close to $60 million in revenue by 2016. Why would you get into LED lighting? You have big companies, GE, Philips, TCP, Leaderson, everybody's doing lighting. Why would you want to compete with them? Well, we're not competing directly with them. There are lighting companies that are getting into this space, and they're doing CFL, large lighting, and installations and focused on consumers. We are the first to market. We have the IP that protects us and enables us to do smart wireless lighting control. We have customer commitments, and we're responsive and can stay ahead of the competition. We want to be just like at a dog race, we want to be the hare, and we want to stay ahead of the dog and just be caught at the right time by those lighting companies. But we have the technology that's going to keep us in front until that right time. Our go-to-market strategy, we're going to launch our own line of small products and wireless lighting for Europe and the USA, with broad products to follow. We have distribution in Europe and US. Our European distribution is a wireless energy management company. They have 8 years in smart energy, such as smart meter management. They have utility customers with 2 million customers who are demanding wireless lighting. The utilities want to monitor real time. What it enables them to do when enough people are on the system and on the grid, they can actually control, and if a blackout is approaching, they could actually dim your lights and prevent blackouts. With lighting consuming so much electricity, this is a key component, and with our technology, we've been selected as a technology supplier and a lamp supplier. We realize that probably nobody's seen these kinds of projections and curves so aggressive, but we feel that they're achievable and realistic. We project sales of almost 30 million by 2015, 83 million by 2016, with profits approaching 5 million in 2015 and 15 million in 2016. Our funding objectives, we've invested $350,000 in manufacturing IP as well as product prototypes. We've been self-funded through our engineering services and personal investments. We are seeking $500,000 in equity funding and shirts. The funding will be used for product commercialization, intellectual property filings, pursuing that, as well as overhead and marketing. As an example, we'll be profitable with our first sale. If we were to selling our first 10,000 lamps, would generate an $80,000 profit at 35% margin, which we would reinvest in the company to grow our product portfolio. Looking at a pre-money valuation of $4 million with an exit timeline of 4 to 7 years. Again, targeting staying ahead of the competition with our technology, but delivering an acquisition through a merger by a synergistic but competitor product company. Thank you very much, and we look forward to making you money.
Now, if you invest, do you get a shirt?
Absolutely.
Oh, muy en fuego. All right. Next up is the president of Praxis, Joe Grochowski. Joe? There you are.
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Grochowski. I'm president and founder of Praxis Technology. Praxis manufactures and supplies titanium devices to large medical device companies. Specifically, we supply devices that we have manufactured using proprietary powder metal technology that we have developed. We're pioneering the use of powder metallurgy in titanium implants. We focused exclusively on titanium because it's the preferred metal for implantable devices. Unlike other metals, it's the only metal that no one is allergic to. We incorporated in 2005. We've been in production since 2008. We have proprietary technology that's been approved by the FDA, and our efforts to date have been 100% internally funded. So all of you know someone who has some kind of implant, be it a hip, a knee, a pacemaker. This is a large and growing market. And to date, this growth has been driven by innovation, demographics, and lifestyle choices. Basically, for instance, baby boomers are getting older. And as these large OEMs in the market seek to continue their growth, penetrating emerging markets has emerged as a priority. Success in this regard is contingent on reducing manufacturing costs. Current manufacturing methods, such as casting and machining, have reached their limitations as far as cost reductions. And our metal injection molding technology not only imparts some additional design flexibility to the process, but also provides dramatic cost saving over current methods. In short, Praxis is revolutionizing the way that titanium implants are manufactured. Our plan is to become the dominant Tier 1 supplier of titanium implants. How are we doing that? We are capitalizing on a unique combination of expertise, application knowledge, and capabilities. First, we have expertise in metal injection molding, which is a technology for manufacturing that's very well suited to making small, complex parts in volume. Second, we have expertise in titanium powder metallurgy. And thirdly, we have experience in manufacturing implants. The combination of these create a potent technology offering. Along the way, we've created a strong intellectual property position, including patents and improved manufacturing methods. And with respect to customers, we target the large OEMs. They dominate the market, and our relationships with them are strong and growing. So what makes us so unique and poised to dominate this space? First, we have the ability to produce bone growth surfaces that allow the bone to grow literally into the implant. These surfaces provide for faster healing and better outcomes, and many surgeons prefer these surfaces to older technologies which use bone cement and screws to secure the implant. We're one of a handful of companies that have these kind of surfaces, and we separate ourselves by combining our expertise with our metal injection molding capabilities. More specifically, the titanium metal injection molding technology that we have developed provides the highest, the best mechanical properties in the world. By combining this with our ingrowth technology, we deliver a superior part at dramatically reduced costs. Our target market consists of 4 segments: orthopedic implants, basically hips and knees; spinal devices, such as the hardware used in fusion procedures; vascular access devices, which are titanium ports that allow for repetitive injection of drugs; and cardiac rhythm management devices, such as pacemakers. These numbers represent the immediately available market. They reflect the OEM's purchase cost for these parts, and they're conservative because we have generated them by compiling what we know is being produced. And we are, of course, not without competition, but the competitors use conventional manufacturing methods, such as forging and machining, and the high cost of these methods is what's creating the opportunity for Praxis. Additionally, although there are many suppliers in this space, they are all using conventional methods, and the space is very fragmented, and there's no one dominant player. With regard to other titanium injection molding groups, there's only a handful around the world, and none are selling implants in the United States. We're the only group in the US that's specializing in time-in, and we're recognized as an expert in the field. And because of the disruptive nature of this technology, we've been very successful in generating strong interest among the OEMs. So I've touched on a couple of our competitive advantages. We have superior product performance. We have specialized expertise. We have a first mover advantage, and we have a strong IP position. In addition to all of this, there are substantive barriers to entry in the field. Manufacturing implantable devices is not a trivial undertaking. It requires a significant upfront investment in a world-class quality system, and then you have to maintain that system, as well as there are market development barriers. We have had to invest heavily in educating the market and understanding the market. Also, this is a technically intensive undertaking. We have had a sustained investment to get the technologies at the performance level where it's at. And lastly, because of the time and cost of launching new production lines, the customer is inherently invested, and given the high switching costs, ultimately very adverse to change. So our plans are pretty ambitious, but we already have a lot in the works. We have 12 products in our pipeline. We have development projects with 2 of the top 5 orthopedic manufacturers, as well as exploratory discussions with 2 others. We have multiple prototypes in testing in the second quarter of this year. And to support all of this, we've begun specifying a facility expansion and a new production line. These activities are paving the way to significantly increase both revenues and profits. In order to reach these goals, we need to expand our capacity by increasing our footprint, adding a production line, and building out our staff. And to address these and other needs, such as business development costs and working capital, we are raising $2.5 million via an equity raise. So let's take a brief look at our financials, both historically and going forward. Our initial technology was commercialized in 2009, and shortly afterwards, we launched a second product for the same customer. 2009 and 2010, we realized reasonable returns. And 2011 was influenced by two major factors. First, our primary customer adjusted their post-launch inventory levels, resulting in a reduced demand in the short term. Inventory levels have since stabilized, and in 2010 have returned to consistent levels. Or excuse me, 2012 has returned to consistent levels. Secondly, sustained investment in our new technology was required to get it to the point where it is now at, which is ready to commercialize. As you can see, we anticipate that upon completion of our expansion plans, new product launches will result in strong revenue and earning growth beginning in 2014. We are confident that execution of our plan will create a truly high technology, game-changing manufacturing company that will generate significant results, significant shareholder returns and multiple exit options. So we are very excited about the future of this company. We've got great people. The unique strength of our team is in the combination of our skill sets. We're experts at metal injection molding, titanium powder metallurgy, and the manufacturing of implantable devices. When you put these three things together, you get a very unique team that's able to do things that other people have not been able to do. In addition to the strength of the team, we have the right technology at the right time. 10 years ago, the OEMs in this market were focused primarily on product innovation. However, it's no longer just about the better mousetrap. It's now about being able to provide the better mousetrap and hit the right price point. And lastly, we've done this before. Praxis was literally started in my kitchen and has now been grown to a state-of-the-art production facility. And our first patented ingrowth technology has been used in over 100,000 successful surgeries. How did we get here? We developed and patented the technology. We installed the capacity. We qualified the product and ramped to full production. As a result, we are now a single-source supplier to one of the largest medical OEMs on the planet. And with our new revolutionary technology, we're ready to go to the next level. To recap, Praxis is at an inflection point in its evolution. We have game-changing technology in a large and lucrative market, and we have the opportunity to be first to market, establishing competitive advantages that will drive our prosperity for years to come. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, next up is Robert Anstey, who's the CEO of Graphene Devices. Robert. How are you?
Okay, so I'm the CEO of Graphene Devices. And really quickly, I'm just going to explain what graphene is, just so we can get that out of the way. Graphene, it's an atomic level nanoparticle made out of carbon. If you know anything about carbon nanotubes, it's basically just unraveled, flat. Different types of graphene. Some are single layered pristine, some are single layered wrinkled. There are multiple layered graphenes, but the common principle is that it has a lot of beneficial properties. It's exceedingly strong, 200 times stronger than steel. It's more thermally conductive than diamond. It's incredibly electronically conductive as well. So why isn't it everywhere? Well, that's what I'm here to talk about. The problem is the graphene, the first way it was discovered was with Scotch tape on pencil graphite. That's not very scalable, last I checked. So you have to figure out a way that you can use this material in a number of markets, which means you have to have enough of it to use, and it has to be in a form in which you can use it. That is our vision, that is what we do, that is our competitive advantage, is we have a way of making the graphene in a usable form and keeping it in a usable form for the different markets that we are approaching and the different products that we are making. The opportunity here is that it's value-added chemistry. We actually work on the chemical surface so that the graphene can be stable in different solvents and different mixtures, and therefore we can control the way it goes into different coatings, inks, that sort of thing. And it's I guess the best thing about it is it's directly applicable to some very, very large markets. Energy storage, as many of you know, as a totality is, a $50 billion market with different segments that we're going to go after. The printable electronic market, just for the ink, is $1.6 billion. So you can imagine the whole market, because you don't really see the ink. The ink's just in the device, and just the ink alone is $1.6 billion. So to go after these two markets for energy storage, we're specifically looking at ultracapacitors, and we have a potential partner in this space, and we've shown a lot of and have been demonstrated a lot of very high performance advantages in that area. But the pain points in that industry specifically are the activated carbon purity issues, which is the material they now use, which is another carbon material. Surface area limitations, not in the type of material itself, but in the available surface area after you've laid down the coating. And that the coatings themselves are not as highly reformed as we believe they can be. And some of that is limited by the materials themselves. The first market, though, we're going after is printable electronics, and specifically the printable ink market, where right now it's suffering from a huge issue of silver cost. As you know, silver is bouncing all over the place. Went as high as $50 troy ounce, came back to 32. After the economies start to pick up globally again, it's going to go right back up to 50 and probably higher. And the carbon inks, which are a lot cheaper, don't have nearly the performance that the silver inks have. So graphene has an ability as a carbon ink to play in that world and fit in between the two markets, where you have a cost advantage over silver. It's easier to use than silver. You don't have to sinter it. You don't have to heat it up to 600, 700 Celsius. You can use it as easily as you can use carbon, but doesn't have all these weaknesses that carbon has. So this is sort of a visual representation of what we do. So you have the graphene bulk powder, which we don't intend to sell to anybody, because eventually it's just going to become commodity pricing. The mistake the carbon nanotube companies made is, we're just going to make carbon nanotubes, we'll use some of them ourselves, we'll sell some of them ourselves. Who's making them now? Bayer and other large multi-billion-dollar companies who've driven the price down to around $500 a kilogram, which means all the smaller companies that got into it, they didn't even get acquired, because Bayer said, I'm just going to do it. And so one of the advantages that we have is we're looking down the value chain immediately, and that's where people get acquired. They don't acquire by scaling up and making a material that other people can possibly make. You get acquired by doing the things that we're focusing on, which are working on slurries and the coatings, and eventually the products and devices that will use this material and will take advantage of it. Now, in order to do that, we have to realize our limitations. We are not an ink company. We're not going to be an ink company. What we did is we went out and found a $300 million a year revenue ink company. We signed a joint development agreement, and we are working on 3 different products that are going to be launched over the next 2.5 years, with the first one being released 4th quarter of this year. And that is our carbon graphene ink, Gen 1. And what we've done is, through the money that we had invested over the past, I guess, 18 to 24 months, a lot of which actually came from NYSERDA, so we're very thankful to that, and hopefully we'll make them proud, has allowed us to go from just hardly being able to produce the material to producing the material in good scale, high quality, high performance, and then delivering that material to our JDA partner and making conductive carbon inks that are in line with the best in the world. So we're already on the same level as DuPont in terms of performance and cost, and that's our Gen 1 product. So we like where that's heading. The next one is going to be graphene mixed with different metals to try to get some of the metallic benefits without having the weaknesses of the metallics. The next thing we're going to look at is the coatings. So a lot of our technical team, for obvious reasons, are chemists, formulators, and coaters. We have a lot of very sophisticating expertise in coating because we have technical members who have been in the coating industry for 30 years. Between 25 and 30 years is the average experience of our coaters and our formulators, which allows us to go into many different applications for graphene coatings. Inherently, carbon electrodes for wide variety of devices, anything from capacitors to batteries, but we're going to pick and choose as we see our best available opportunities arise. And also hybrid electrodes, which allow you to take advantages of different materials other than carbon, other than graphene, to have different effects on your energy storage device. And then eventually, to work all the way down the value chain, we're going to allow people to make these devices in a different way. You might be asking me, why am I focusing on printable electronics and then energy storage? How are these related? Actually, they're very related, because if you leverage the way devices are made in printable electronics into energy storage, then that energy storage device is really just a printed electronic device. It's just that many people haven't made it that way before. And this allows us, over the next 5 years, to come out with a variety of different products that will get us into these high-value market opportunities. So far we've used $1.2 million in non-dilutive funding, and I guess some of the money from my pocket, to build a very experienced management team. Everyone on the management team comes from Fortune 500 companies with experience specifically in these chemical markets. At the end of the day, this is a chemical company. So who do you want on the team? People who have dealt with those markets for decades and know who the players are, how these markets work, who you have to talk to, how you have to do business, and how everything moves forward. And we've increased connectivity of our inks over 1,000%. We've worked on our JDAs. And over the next 12 months, using the fundraising that we're going to raise, we're going to scale up the manufacturing production of our materials, the precursors, and with our ink partner. We're going to execute on our JDA with our power device partner. We'll have our prototype electrode out next year and our UltraCap prototype, depending how the relationship goes with that company, 2013. The conductive ink market is fragmented, which gives opportunities for us to play. Our direct competitor is another graphene ink company, but they're trying to do it on their own, which we've learned is not the smartest way to go about it. So our advantage is the dispersion expertise. The benefits to the customers I've already explained to you. It's mainly cost and enabling the use. And by locating at the Eastman Business Park, we have access to a lot of scale-up and tolling manufacturing. So we don't need to spend this money to buy equipment. This is our management team, which I can go into more detail with you about, not just the management team, but the technical team. Projected revenue across these different market segments grows to $113 million to 2017 in our base case. If performance exceeds our expectations, it will do better than that. And to finally wrap up, it's a $1.5 million convertible debt round. It will be used to develop these products over the next 18 to 24 months, and to hire a number of people and to work with our tolling manufacturing partners to get these products ready for market and to market. We have an extensive IP situation. We have a whole different presentation for that we can get into, so I'm not going to do that today. If you want to talk to me, I'm going to be around today. We already have soft circle for some investors, including Excel Partners, who we're very happy to be working with, and a group of executives from New York City who are also looking to invest, and we're looking to build out the round. So thank you very much for your time today. And
okay. Next up is Marcia Olson, and she's CEO of Smart Technologies. Marcia.
So the first test is how far this stretches. All right, let's see. Can you hear me pretty well here? Yes. All right. So Smart Technologies is a spin-out of the Rochester Group. The Rochester Group has been doing professional services in the business intelligence space for over 20 years. So we're going to talk software today. And Avatrack is the product that we've commercialized and brought to market. First, I'll define business intelligence. Everyone has a different definition. Gartner defines business intelligence as data analysis, reporting, and query tools that help users wade through a sea of data. Right now, business intelligence is the #1 priority for CIOs, and it's a $12.2 billion market, so it's a big market. Our product, Avatrack, is considered a disruptive technology. So it's also in the fastest growing space that is happening in the market right now, software as a service. And we're doing this in the small and medium-sized company space. Avatrack is cloud-based business intelligence and a tool set that allows companies to increase their profitability and also improve their ability to compete. The product is in production with more than 700 users. And we're moving multiple opportunities through our pipeline right now. We're seeking participants in a $2 million raise, primarily for sales and marketing to launch the product. The product has been designed as a platform, component-based, that allows you to plug in pieces depending on what your requirements are. And especially the connectors that you see here. Those are predefined integration to major applications like Salesforce.com. The customer problem is the proliferation of data from lots of different systems. And really, what the difficulty is in actually using this data to improve your business. It's overload. So you end up with data everywhere and information nowhere. What do? We bring that all together in one interface. And this is an interface that's been designed for a non-technical user, very easy to use. And what happens is our customers can see at a glance what's happening inside their business, whether it's in sales, operations, finance, or any other area. And they're using drag and drop and click mouse kinds of things. And one of the things I like to do here is to just give a couple examples because it seems to help crystallize it. If you're a CFO and you come in and you look at a couple questionable numbers, you have the ability to kind of dig in and get that information and then go about your day. If you're, say, in sales and you hear some water cooler talk about a problem with quotas, you can look and see what's happening before you actually go confront people or have that discussion. You get fact-based information really quickly. And that's actually the kind of problems that you see in the mid-market. Those companies are moving fast. They need to grab that information and move on. The market. In 2007, we were at $7 billion, and it was dominated by the mega vendors. Niche players just started to be identified and emerge. In 2008, that market's almost $9 billion, and the niche vendors are starting to move into market share positions. In 2010, this market is $10.5 billion, and now we're seeing segmentation with things like data discovery as part of that niche, and software as a service comes into play. That area is growing at double digits. In 2015, the Gartner is projecting this to grow to $13 billion, and you can see that SaaS is growing as well. If we look more closely at this, because this is our space, that market today is 210. It's growing at 33%. It will be almost $1 billion by 2015. So big opportunity, and the time to move is now. We look at our market in two ways, by size and by industry. And when you look at size, we're looking at three slices: the departments of large corporations, small companies, and then this SMB, which is 20 million to 250. When you segment this market by verticals, we have core competence in these three areas. Salesforce.com has a known problem in the reporting area. There's 100,000 companies there. We are a certified provider and have been a partner for the last 4 years. On the manufacturing side, that's where our core competency is. And in that arena, you've got a lot of opportunity in the mid-size area. Our pipeline is primarily from these two, but we're also looking at telecom. One of the things about telecom is that they have grown during the recession. They've invested, and it's been due primarily to the high-speed mobile devices. We have existing relationships in this area with Verizon Wireless, Verizon Business, and Frontier. So we'll do this, and we'll move into new spaces as we move along, and healthcare is one of them. Our go-to-market. We're going to focus in direct sales and web sales in the beginning so that we can engage early customers and further identify the ways that the product will be used in the sales messages that resonate. When our digital media marketing investment comes online, we'll be moving more into the web sales and developing the channels so we can scale. In any market this big, there's a lot of competition. The largest players here are in the traditional business intelligence, the mega vendor. We're not going after that. Our space is with data discovery and the SaaS data discovery arena where the growth is. There are no dominant players yet in the market. What we did is we picked 4 that were closest to us and also looked at the investment. The only one here that's even closer going after a piece of the direct market that we address is Burst. On the financial side, year 3 is break even, and by year 5 we're at 43 million. One of the things about SaaS that's very attractive is your recurring revenue stream, and you can see that reflected here. As I said, we're going after a $2 million investment. The primary use of those funds will be in the marketing initiatives that we need to expand to a national market. The leadership team. This leadership team has a lot of strong entrepreneurial experience. I spent a number of years in the Boston area working with both small and startup companies. I was also the VP Worldwide R&D for Xerox Corporation in Global Services. Peter Teeslink and Claude Marini are serial entrepreneurs, and they have a strong background in technology companies. And then I also have a group of serial SaaS entrepreneurs, you have to say that fast, 5 times, who have a lot of experience and are helping and mentoring me in the SaaS space. Our exit strategy is acquisition in 5 years. So the likely acquirers here are the big guys that want to come down market, and also potentially Salesforce that wants to solve the reporting problem, and then other companies that would fill a gap in capabilities. Customers are choosing us now because we're really easy to use. That's often said, but when you actually use the product, you get a real feel for that. Very fast to implement and low cost. You should invest in us because it's a real product, it's got real customers, and it's a hot market. We have a strong leadership team, and we're in a space that's already demonstrated heavy acquisition strategy and activity. And I'd welcome the opportunity to speak with anyone here. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. From SaaS space to, say that 5 times fast. SaaS space, no, I can't do it. To an old friend. Well, I've known him for a long time. He's not old. John Ross with Simulated Surgical Systems. John, where'd you go? There you are.
It's a bit of a blind plank.
Yeah, I know.
I know I stand between you and a break, so, but I do need 8 minutes of your time, not 10. Where's my clicker here? You did. I got somebody's notes up here too, forgive me. So thank you very much for the opportunity this afternoon to tell you a little bit about simulated surgical systems and our solution for improving training on the Da Vinci surgical system. Whoops, back to Marcia. Simulated Surgical Systems was founded in 2009 as a spin-out from the University of Buffalo and the Roswell Park Cancer Institute. The company developed and markets a robotic surgery simulator, also known as ROS, that helps surgeons become more adept at training on the Da Vinci robot. Dr. Kirsha Guru, who's the head of robotic surgery at the Roswell Park Cancer Institute, and Dr. Kesh Kesavadas, who came from the University of Buffalo in their virtual reality lab in the School of Engineering, came together because they realized there was an opportunity to improve the effectiveness and efficiencies of surgeons who are performing procedures on the Da Vinci. To understand the business opportunity for simulated surgicals, you need to understand a little bit about the Da Vinci surgical system. The Da Vinci system is state-of-the-art technology in the field of minimally invasive robot-assisted surgery. They essentially have a monopoly in this field. There's about 2,400 Da Vinci robots in the world today, and that number is growing at a rate of about 25 to 30% per year. The cost of acquisition of the Da Vinci is very high, typically exceeding $2 million, and the annual maintenance commitment to that is large as well. And it's proven that surgeons require many iterations of performing particular procedures to truly become adept at working the Da Vinci system. Now, the Da Vinci operating room in a hospital tends to be one of the most profitable centers in that hospital, but that's obviously predicated on utilization for billable procedures. But surgeons need training. With the growth in robotic surgery, coupled with the fact that it takes many, many iterations to truly become effective at performing the surgeries, and patient outcomes directly correlate to surgeons' experience on these systems, there's a shortage of opportunities for training on the Da Vinci robot. You can attend a class. It's very expensive, and they're not offered everywhere. Or you can train in the operating room, which is very difficult to gain entry to because of the need for the hospitals, from an economic perspective, to be performing billable procedures. So that's where the ROS comes in. Fabricated now right here in Western New York, the ROS is a portable virtual reality trainer for the Da Vinci robot. And it basically does three things. It teaches basic surgical skills, kind of how to navigate your way around the Da Vinci's platform. With our patented and proprietary hands-on surgical training procedures, also known as HOST, we actually teach specific surgical procedures, including prostatectomies and hysterectomies and more others to come. And we measure performance. So after someone has worked on our console, we can give them feedback in terms of how long it took to complete the task, tool collisions, tissue damage, and those types of things. Here's an example of some images that a user would see when operating in our basic training examples. So manipulating the fourth arm of the robot is part of the skill set, cutting tissue, tying knots, and handling needles. In this next image, you see an example from our hands-on surgical training module, and in this case, a prostatectomy, an actual procedure, and in this particular step, the student is being prompted to throw a needle by turning their wrist. It's a little difficult to see, I realize. There's basically two competitors to our ROS platform, and neither one offers the HOST modules, the hands-on surgical training procedures. And in the case of the Da Vinci option, it actually appends to the robot in the operating room, thus hurting the opportunity for billable procedures while doing training work. And we're working on the case study right now that in fact demonstrates that people who train on the ROS prior to working on the Da Vinci are actually more effective than surgeons who trained on the Da Vinci itself. The company has amassed a tremendous leadership team. Doctors Guru and Kesavadas are renowned leaders in their respective fields, as well as we have a team of executives and CEOs and business owners and leaders who have built companies, who have had successful exits. And the thing that's tremendous about this team is it has a perfect balance, in my opinion, of strategic insight and operational excellence. In a very brief period of time, the company has gotten much notoriety, including spots in major trade publications and technical journals, as well as business publications such as Fast Company magazine last year. This is a proven product. There are 14 units sold to the field, 13 in the United States and 1 in Europe, including such notable institutions as our own Roswell Park Cancer Institute, the Cleveland Clinic, the Henry Ford Health System in Detroit, Michigan, where robotic surgery was actually one of the pioneer sites, and the world-renowned Karolinska Institute in Sweden, which is the site where the Nobel Prize is issued from. So we are both a hardware and a software company. As we develop additional host modules, each installed Ross site presents an opportunity for us to have further sales to existing customers. We sold 8 units last year. We anticipate selling 15 in 2012. And we anticipate having 257 units in the field in 5 years' time in 2016. And if you extrapolate the current growth of the Da Vinci, we anticipate there'll be about 5,000 Da Vincis in the field in 2016. So we're projecting a very conservative 5% penetration. The revenue numbers associated with those unit forecasts bring us to be a $13.5 million company in 5 years' time, and with pre-tax profit margins at 43%. The profit margins as a percent of revenue in this business continue to grow year over year as software becomes a larger component of the overall company. So we are looking for $600,000 to $800,000. And the primary use of that fund is increased marketing. This is a marketing-intensive business, and we're going against a large player in intuitive surgical. We need to develop more host procedure modules so that we can improve on that competitive differentiator that we already have a head start on. And we need to get out and visit customers and make sales. So we need to attend more trade shows. We need to do a campaign towards community hospitals. Typically, we focused on the teaching institutions initially for obvious reasons, and now we need to reach out to every hospital that actually has a Da Vinci robot installed. And typically, it takes a test drive to sell one of these units. So we need to increase the number of on-site demonstrations. So it truly is a great time to invest in simulated surgicals. We have a proven product that has gained market acceptance in many renowned institutions. We have competitive differentiation in a growing marketplace. We have a fabulous leadership team, and we represent an opportunity for profitable growth, effective immediately. Thank you for your time. I look forward to talking to you.